Cord, okay.
Podcasting entertainment. Visionary global media. Envisioning excellence on a global scale.
Oh, shit.
Well, you got to say it again.
It does make me feel good, even on the second time, or the third time, the fourth time.
And what are we here to do tonight?
God damn. That beat makes me want to talk dirty to you, baby boy.
Talk dirty to me, baby.
As the Phoenix rises from the ashes, it's time to fly. Welcome back to another episode of the Phoenix Splash Podcast, episode 20. We are back a month gone, but we got so much ground to cover. I'm here with my main man, the chairman of the GLG.
As your cat is just trying to ruin everything.
Yes, literally decided he was going to take over the opening segment. This is what happens when you try this 3 times and you get it right.
Take 3.
Time. Okay, Mr. Lucifer, just pick a spot, buddy. Can I introduce my man, Brett Jager, the chairman of the GLG Midwest Division? God bless America. Brett, tell me something good with all this chaos going on.
Talk dirty to me, baby. Yeah. As you said, this is take 3. We've had a couple of false starts here. We had a perfect intro that was very organic, and now it's not.
Nope.
But it was all about talking dirty to you, and that's what we're going to do today. There's a lot of shit to talk dirty about, specifically in New Japan. The last month plus since we've recorded, the landscape has gotten all fucking weird on us. And if you're viewing on YouTube, my thing or my name says Gato Smoking Crack, right? Because that's the only way I can explain the last 2 shows. It was weird.
I was going to go with the word interesting, but yeah, we could discuss that here in a second. We're going to talk about a separate show as well. 3 shows on the New Japan New Beginning Tour, the 2-4 show, 23 and 24. We're going to jump over to Noah and discuss a couple of Noah shows. Jack Morris and Anthony Green for the national heavyweight title. We're going to talk a little El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. snatching the GHC Heavyweight Championship off of Keno. I know we have thoughts about that. And a separate junior tag team match, junior heavyweight tag team title match. I watched it. I know that Brett didn't get a chance to watch that. We can at least discuss that as well. We're going to jump to TJPW. The Max Hart tournament was going on when we were on hiatus. We're just going to jump to the final and discuss a little, maybe Grand Princess preview coming up with that. And then finally, we're going to go to All Japan and discuss Nakajima's couple of last title defenses. I watched the Jun Saito match this afternoon and 3 other matches before that. We'll discuss that. And then to put a bow on this thing, we're going to talk a little Stardom. Obviously, Stardom has had its little upheaval since we last recorded. Rossy has gotten the boot and other various matches inside the ring itself. Micah being the new red belt champion. Julia feeling like she's on the way out, just got her hair chopped by Nakutsu. So obviously things to talk on that as well. But let's just jump into this New Japan discussion because obviously there is plenty to talk about. We can start with that 2-4 show. I know you wanted to talk about the Henare Gabe Kidd match. I know I totally forgot about this because it's been so long since we recorded.
And I almost wanted to make sure we didn't forget about this because it was just a Road 2 show, random. You know, I watched maybe a handful of matches from the Road 2s, but this one definitely stuck out, I'd say. And before we hit record the first time, 3 times ago, I had said that I think that is probably a top 5 match of the year thus far, and you kind of scoffed at me. So
I didn't say I scoffed at it. It's just, I rated it high. Clearly, my number is not nearly as close as yours. Let's just talk about it. Gabe Kidd versus Henare. This was just a standard match, no stip on it. But it was building towards the Bullet Club United Empire cage match that will eventually talk about here in a little bit. I didn't think much of it. It just felt like this was just going to be a couple of guys on each side. We're going to roll out the ball and see what happens. That was not the case at all. They went at it. Before we were interrupted so rudely the first time around, I was saying that I really like Gabe Kidd as a future star in New Japan, whether it be he wins a singles title, global title, never open weight title, whatever the case may be. Ultimately, I would like to see him as the leader of this new Bullet Club. David Finlay is fine. He's serving his purpose, but the fact that he's lost the global heavyweight title so quickly, not his fault, but it makes me now really look at him a little differently than I've already was kind of looking at him a little side-eyed to begin with. I've kind of always been a David Finlay fan. I wanted to see where this new regime would go with him as the top of the head, so to speak. But Gabe Kidd is just doing work, whether it's in the ring or just his character. He comes out and just heat is literally behind him. There are flames, steps behind him as he comes to the ring. Let's talk Gabe Kidd. What are you looking for Gabe Kidd? And then let's talk about the match itself.
Yeah, I mean, they say it, and he is a generational talent, and he's fucking backed it up. Yeah. But he's backed it up. He's been unbelievable. Yeah, I will hold most of my thoughts in terms of how I feel about him as lead, because we got to build up to that, because I think what happened in the cage match to what happened with David Finlay a few days ago is like, that's among the most perplexing shit that we've seen, which is like, what the fuck? But we'll hold that till we get there. Talk about the match here. Yeah, it was a Road to show. Like, I actually did watch the last 4 because it was Grado Khan Coughlin, Kid Hanare, Finlay, Callum Newman, and then Connors and Maloney versus Catch 22. So like you said, really kind of setting up for that cage match, which was obviously a major thing and turned out to be that. Holy shit. But yeah, this match, I didn't really like.
Damn.
Yeah, like you said, I didn't really think much of this coming in, but you could tell 2 minutes in what the fuck was happening, and they just beat the absolute piss out of each other for 20 minutes, 27 seconds, and it was a double knockout, which I loved. Something you just don't see too much these days. I mean, definitely, I think there's been a few in Stardom, here or there. Then one of the Utami Shuri matches might have ended that way, if I recall correctly.
It was during, I think Shuri was the champion at the time, and it was one of their major shows, and it went the 30-minute time limit draw, and they gave them extra time, and then that extra time, they knocked each other out, and that's how the match stopped. I was like,
yeah, but it worked perfectly here because, like you said, it wasn't really a step. It was just 2 guys going out there, fighting spirit, through and through. This is around the time, Ospreay's leaving, Okada's leaving. There's a huge power vacuum at the top here in New Japan, and these 2 motherfuckers came out and said, "I want to be up there."
Yeah,
and
for sure. Gabe get a really chance to talk about Okada leaving it. That happened that's how long it's been.
Yeah,
we finished PSP. 19.
That's right. It was like right after the day after, maybe that's. Yes, you're right.
that's how long it's been. So wrap your head around that.
Holy shit. But yeah, the match was sensational. I went 4.75 on it. I mean, they just kept going and going, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And it's like, how much can these 2 motherfuckers take? Turns out they both could not get the job done because they both beat each other too much. And now it's like, I can't fucking wait to see the rematch, which by God better be coming at some point. Although with the way booking has been lately, who the fuck knows what's happening?
I was going to say maybe I'm going to try to go on our text thread to see the New Japan Cup bracket. Maybe they might meet somewhere down the line, because obviously that's coming up too.
I'll pull it up right now.
Just for the record, the main event on that 2-4 show was the War Dogs versus Catch 22, where the War Dogs did get back the IWGP Junior Heavyweight titles off of Catch 22. I know that you were just talking about David Finlay dropping the global heavyweight titles. To me, this should have been a signal that could have easily happened. Catch 22 just got the damn titles back. And now just dropped it. I'm like, wait, what? What the fuck is that happening?
A lot of ping pong booking going on here with the titles of late.
Yeah, definitely hot shotting for sure. If you want to go that route, then this was a good signal of that. 18-33 bell to bell. I gave it 4 1/4. I thought it was a really good match. It felt like it was weird just in the sense that it happened so quickly after Wrestle Kingdom. This is a month, just a little over a month after Wrestle Kingdom.
Exactly a month. 2-4.
Right. So, I mean, it's a month to the day. How are you going to build this whole angle up? You know what I'm saying? The War Dog Catch 22 angle really should have culminated at Wrestle Kingdom. Catch 22 wins the titles back, and now we can all just kind of move along. Now you're at a point where Catch 22 feels like, okay, what the fuck are we really going to do with them, with the titles? You know, we're not even talking about Will Ospreay at this point, just them as a team. It just felt really weird for them to drop those titles just when they got them back.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And again, that's just kind of adding to the weirdness of everything of late. Yeah, I think I went 4 on the match. I don't remember. I didn't look back. It was obviously a little bit ago. Definitely enjoyed it. But yeah, just a little. I wasn't nearly as off-put by this than David Finlay losing. But yeah, similarly, it's just like, what are we doing? And, the whole thing at Wrestle Kingdom with the ass wang, which, they made that into a big thing. And now it's just like they lose them right back. Yeah. But again, booking just has not been the greatest of late.
Can't disagree with too much of that.
Well, real quick, what'd you think? What'd you give the Hinare Kid match?
4.5 on the Hinare Kid match. Okay. I gave 4 1/4 on that junior heavyweight tag title match between War Dogs and Catch 22. Let's jump over to the 211 show. This was an interesting show, just in the fact that you had a title, not even a title match. I'm sorry. The cage match was the main event, basically sending off Will Ospreay over to AEW, but there were other matches that I want to talk about.
I think we can start with Okada Tanahashi. I think everything before that was relatively inconsequential.
That's good. You kind of stole my thunder. That's what I wanted to talk about, and the fact that we hadn't even really talked about Okada on air as he's going to All Elite Wrestling as well. So let's just start with that. Okada versus Tanahashi. I'm trying to think, was this 1650 bell to bell? Okada gets the win. I was a little surprised with that. I just wasn't sure where this was going. A part of me was thinking, okay, if there was a time for a draw, this might be that time, just because Tanahashi being the world TV champion, Okada on the way out the door. Okada, in my head, should be doing a job or two on the way out the door. We'll talk about that in a second. But I guess this should have been the sign of things to come. Okada gets the win. It felt like Tanahashi kind of rolled back the clock a little bit. The high fly flow on to the outside, I thought, was one of the high points, and it looked like, classic Tanahashi. He looked a little more spry getting around the ring at this point. I don't know if it was the fact that, he was inspired because Okada was on the way out the door, or he was just feeling good, whatever the case may be. This looked like old Tanahashi 2-3 years ago, Tanahashi, where he still could have been credible for a world heavyweight titles match at any given point. I gave this 4 stars. I was, like I said, just surprised at the fact that if there was a time that Okada could have, done a job for anybody on the way out the door, Tanahashi could have been that guy. But as the match went along, before the match, this was, I guess, the day before the anniversary where Okada beat Tanahashi originally for the IWGP Heavyweight Championships, and that basically got this feud going. So I guess we went that route. It felt weird. Okada leaving still feels weird, even though I've watched all of the, the goodbyes, the lead up to it, the whole 9 yards, the matches that, should have happened that isn't, Yota Tsuji getting in his face, after the head.
That was so fucking tight.
Yeah, that was amazing right there. And just Okada just be basically stone-faced throughout it, a couple of tears here and there. But let's talk about Okada versus Tanahashi, and then you can give your thoughts on Okada, his final days in New Japan.
Yeah, I think we definitely should have seen this coming from the last episode when they didn't put over TMDK for the trios titles. And I think we talked, off air texting that I listened to the Super J cast. They always kind of have sources, and they had said that like this was an Okada call. Like he did not want to do business, essentially. Did not want to put over any of the young guys. Like they had made a great point, like when you had the block of the G1, which was all the young guys in Sonata, that if Okada was in that spot and having these great matches with these young, like that would have been awesome. But for whatever reason, I guess Okada didn't want to do business. And hey, he's one of the greatest of all time. So whatever. I'm not going to get too upset about it. But yeah, it did just kind of make his exit just as a whole feel a little weird because, yeah, you're expecting something. Last year, Ospreay was winning, but now he started losing matches before he left. Josh Alexander, the cage match, Michael Oku and Rev Pro. There might be one or two more, but it's like he had his year of, everyone saying he's the best wrestler in the world, deservedly so, and won pretty much every single match, but then started doing the jobs. And it's unfortunate, it would have been nice to see. I mean, hell, I've been calling for it for months, the Yu Uemura. Going back to the drop kick when he went out the door on Excursion. That's what I wanted to see.
Right.
Assuming Okada stuck around, I'm sure eventually we would have gotten to it. But that's what I wanted to see. Like you coming in the door going for him. Like you fucking sent that message to me when I left. I've been thinking about that for years and I'm coming for you. And it just sucks that we never got to see that. You mentioned Yota Tsuji. Obviously, I don't need to profess any more of my love for him, but that would have been a fucking awesome match. And like I said, I love that he let him have it there. And I think the translation was something along the lines of like, do you feel good about the way you're leaving here? Okay. So he really stuck it to him. I loved it. Match was good. I went 4 1/4. Definitely did a good job of kind of capturing the emotion, just of their feud, which is to me one of the greatest feuds in the history of wrestling. Absolutely. It is just weird, like you said. And it's weird that we never talked about it on air because, now that I remember, it was like either that night or the next day that the news broke.
That night. It was literally, we finished PSP 19, and then I had to do BFR because Bill was here. And that was literally like one of the first things we started to talk about just because it was breaking news or whatever the case may be. So yeah,
that's right.
It's just one of those things where Zack Sabre Jr. is one of the guys that, if we're talking about people that could have used an Okada rub, Zack Sabre Jr. has been perennially on the cusp of being the next IWGP Heavyweight Champion. And for whatever reason, Ospreay, Naito, Okada himself, other people have just beaten him to the punch and just been the champion. Now it's gotten to the point where I don't see an excuse of why he can't be the champion at this point. Outside of Naito, he's probably the next biggest star that they have on the roster as we speak. If you take off, Okada, Ospreay, him, Naito, and then you can start going however you want to go from there.
Shingo, I think, as a former world champ's got to be up there.
Yeah, for sure. He being Zack Sabre Jr., if you're going to give him Danielson, which we'll talk about here in a second, I think a natural progression should be Okada, and then finally getting that monkey off the back, and then leading into New Japan Cup. And if you want to book him as a New Japan Cup winner again, you can. I don't think you necessarily need to. That's just me. But obviously, we'll talk about that here in a second. I guess the biggest thing is if we'd have recorded right then when Okada would have left, I would have been like, much more in the moment. Oh, shit, what the fuck's happening? How's New Japan going to, survive this? Yada, yada, yada. Now I'm more like, okay, this is an opportunity for Zack Sabre Jr., Shingo, Yoda Tsuji down the line. Other guys that I'm probably just forgetting. That
how about fucking Tai Chi, baby?
Tai Chi, especially now with Shingo, when you say Shingo, Tai Chi is probably the next person that should be coming out of your mouth, because
Tai Chi just got a dub over him too.
Their KOPW feud from last year, I thought, really put the title, at least a credible spin on the title, and really more so put Tai Chi on the map as a credible opponent going forward. So yeah, you can put Tai Chi on there. Guys can get elevated because now Okada is not at the top of the card.
And Ospreay, and even Tama had kind of worked his way to upper mid card. You know, how many times did he win and lose that never title? So yeah, like you said, opportunity, and it's fucking exciting. But, and again, holistically, we'll kind of get through it all. But I think and hope that like these goodbyes are now all done. Okada's gone, Tama's gone, Ospreay's gone. We just had these weird couple of shows. It's like I look to the New Japan Cup as the true new beginning in New Japan, because it's like now it's a fresh deck. Now let's see what the fuck happens.
Yeah, I was going to say that is a really good point, even though this new beginnings is kind of still a new beginning. Next match on that 211 card, kind of the shocker of shockers, but I don't know why it should be, because it's Bullet Club at its finest. Chase and KENTA versus ELP and Hikuleo for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Now, earlier on the tour, Hikuleo and ELP retained the New Japan Strong titles in a fairly easy match, not necessarily anything to talk about. So when I should have known this was happening too, when they made this two separate matches. They usually don't do this sort of thing unless there's a plan behind it. And shocker, shocker, this was the plan. Chase and KENTA go over and defeat ELP and Hikuleo, becoming the new IWGP Tag Team Championships in 13 minutes and 11 seconds. My knee-jerk reaction was, of course, what the fuck is this? Now, TMDK is my first reaction, my first thought. Well, how is it that TMDK can't beat Bishamon in multiple chances, but now all of a sudden you have KENTA and Chase Owens, who barely tag, beating the reigning two or at least double champions at the time in Hikuleo and ELP. Just not sure what we're doing here. This should been those times where this was red flag. I should have seen something bad coming going forward, but I was still too much in shock, too angered to look past what was just in front of me. And in front of me was Bullet Club fuckery, which they get away with. God bless you for it. But this just felt like the wrong team won the match, especially when you have this build for Hikuleo and ELP up to this point. Now you've just had them dropping the titles to a team that doesn't even really team hardly, if at all. Thoughts on the match?
Yeah, the match sucked, and this sucked. And this is similar to the whole David Finlay thing that we're going to talk about. Is like you just said, they spend all this time building up ELP and Hikuleo. Did a great fucking job doing it. Had the epic match in the World Tag League final. And then, the Wrestle Kingdom match wasn't that great, but they didn't get a lot of time. But still, like, they had their moment, and now they just lose to these fucking bums. Sorry, KENTA is kind of a bum now.
Right. Much more comedy than he was.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. And I would say the first, but now it's kind of the second questionable title change we've talked about. The junior tag title is not nearly as just wrong and bad as this, but this is the second of many more perplexing title changes we're going to discuss. And we said it right before we went on air. It's like, just looking at a graphic of the current champions in New Japan is like, what the fuck has happened in the last month and a week?
I was going to say, I know Okada and the Ospreay are leaving, but let's not just start giving the titles just to anybody. I mean, goddamn, there are people that actually make fucking sense in this scenario. This didn't make sense. I agree with you totally. I don't even care where we go with this. If it's not TMDK winning the Never Six Man or the IWGP tag titles, I don't care what we do at this point. Now you just pissed me off to the point where all the goodwill that you built up with Hikuleu and ELP has kind of disappeared. I don't care about the New Japan Strong Tag titles. Like you said, you know, at least an episode or 2 episodes before, those titles should have been merged. If you're going to unify titles, those are the titles that need to be.
That was the time to do it. Like, okay, this is for both. What are we doing? I mean, I get it. They have the strong shows still, but it's just they're not that frequent to have their own titles anymore when it was like a weekly thing, you know, during COVID and a couple years after. So it just doesn't make sense.
Just on a side note, obviously, Windy City Riot is coming up. We'll both be going there with a gang of motherfuckers that's going to train wreck. I can't wait. Now, if you wanted to do, if New Japan Strong was still a brand and a thing, if you want to do it and have separate tag titles, then that makes sense. I don't think that you can do it this way and it makes sense, especially where the tag titles just don't feel important. You know what I'm saying? Now they don't anymore. You know, it'd have been different if it was some credible tag team. Pick the tag team of your choice. I don't care if Bishamon came back and took the tag titles away from ELP and Hikuleu, fine. TMDK, fine. Anybody else but Chase and Kenta would have been acceptable. This just felt super fucking lazy. And now I've gotten to the point where I just don't even care about who is the tag team champions unless it's TMDK, Bullet Club being Kid and Alex Coughlin. Apparently Alex Coughlin might be hurt. I saw that on our text thread. So, you know, hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, this was questionable to say the least. Next matchup on that 211 card is
here we go.
A palate cleanser of palate cleansers, and obviously a match that is going to be discussed somewhere down the line in late December or early January of next year, because this is a 5-star classic. CSJ versus Bryan Danielson. No rules, no stiffs, no titles, just 2 guys going out just to try and decide who's the better technical wrestler. And in this chapter, it goes to Zack Sabre Jr. 32 minutes and 46 seconds of just match excellence, a masterclass. I can't come up with another superlative off the top of my head.
I'll take one from our good friend High Five Tom. It was a fuck of a match.
Okay, and my Lord and Savior, wrestling Lord and Savior, High Five Tom. Can't wait to see you too. This was another just classic ZSJ Danielson match. Just let them go out.
And this was better than the first one. First one,
yeah, for sure. I was just going to say,
and I went 5 stars on that one too.
As we're getting ready to say, and that's scary to say, but the fact that they can just go out and have these great fucking matches and tell a story within the match, to me, says all you need to know about either or guy. For me, the story is, could Zack Sabre Jr. tap out Bryan Danielson? And God damn it, he tried. There was a couple of times where I'm just like, okay, Brian, I'm not. If you want to tap here while your arms,
it's okay.
While your arms are getting, you know, tagged behind your back, and Zach is pulling your leg, and you can't, you know, physically tap. If you just want to say, hey, you know what, I'm good, I wouldn't lose respect for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Better men have tapped out, lesser men have tapped out. It would have been okay at that point. The fact that it ends on a crucifix roll-up, that's more of the true story. Zach comes out and beats him with a technical move versus the submission that he had been trying to get over and over and over again. He comes out of the submission, gets him into the crucifix for the 3 count, and another magnificent match between the 2 guys. Go ahead. I'll let you gush on it.
Yeah, it was perfection. And I think, you know, we knew it was going to be technically beautiful, just like the first one. And the first one certainly had its fair share of strikes too. But I think what set this one apart was the striking by both guys. And it was just so vicious. Some just insane slaps to the face at points. Kicks, yeah, just kicking the shit out of each other. It was just, and again, I went 5 stars on the first one, but this just had even another gear from that one. This is my match of the year thus far. Like you said, this is definitely going to be on the top of anyone's list, unless you're a fucking moron at the end of the year.
Just don't like good wrestling.
yeah, unless you're a fucking moron. But
I ain't gonna go that strong. You just might not like
but yeah, it was just
might be your speed. I ain't mad at you.
And I do like that it wasn't a tap out, because Zach had talked so much shit coming out of the AEW match of, you didn't even tap me out. And like, it was, like you said, it was more of a technical move, a transition, a counter. I mean, so he had that little bit, but they still haven't tapped each other out. So we got to be heading to a third here. My guess is Wembley. Makes a lot of sense for this, it all in. But I want to see Zach get the win, and I don't know if he would on an AEW show, but I think that makes sense. And it would be in England. Like, how does he not fucking win? So that's what I want to see, and it'd be a submission only. Like, you must win by submission, or like 2 out of 3 falls, and one of them has to be by submission. Like, how cool would that be? Is like they each have like a pinfall win, and then like you have to tap the other out for the third fall. I think would be something special. That just came to me right now. So book it, TK.
Yeah, you over here talking dirty right now. God damn.
That's right, baby.
I'm trying to squirm in my seat. Like, hang on, let me get I am on
video. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, clearly we have to be headed to a third here. And it has to be a submission. Just the way that this whole feud has worked, like, it's just got to come to that. And like you said, both matches, both guys were on the brink of tap out multiple times. So I just feel like that's the perfect way to end it. And like you said earlier, Zach, it's just his time. It's got to be his time. Like you said, there's nothing standing in his way now. And even if it's a fucking AEW show, we know this is Danielson's last year full time. He doesn't need the win. Put Zack Sabre Jr. over. And we'll get the New Japan Cup. I certainly wouldn't get mad if he won it, but I don't necessarily want him to win it, because I don't think he would take the belt off Naito this soon. No. However, look what's fucking happening with all the other championships. So who the hell knows?
As I'm over here like, no, I can see it happening though, easily. And Zack Sabre Jr. is an incredible guy that could take the title off of Naito. I mean, he put him on the shelf in the G1.
They got lots of history. He knocked him out of the 2018 G1.
Here's the thought that I was just, as you were talking about ZSJ and Danielson and Wembley. What if ZSJ was the champion? If he was the IWGP champion at the time, I don't see Danielson becoming the AEW champion between now and Wembley.
Oh wow!
I would think if it was that scenario where Zack Sabre Jr. was coming in as the champion and facing Danielson, even if it wasn't a submissions match, it was, just the tiebreaker. We're just going to, figure out who's the better guy. That's a scenario where I would say that Zack Sabre Jr. should be going over. If he's not the champion, then all bets are off. And then I would agree with you that an AEW talent should be going over at that point. But
in England, though, if it's in Wembley, people would fucking riot if Zach loses that match. So
you better get TK out here right now.
Yeah, now it's just got to happen. I mean, I guess, Dominion, it could be Dominion, but I just think Wembley just makes too much sense with it being like a month or 2 months later. It's like August, right? And Dominion's usually early June. So we shall see.
We shall see. Let's talk that main event of 211, because I know your knee-jerk reaction was one thing. So as we're a couple weeks removed, let's see. And it doesn't sound like it's changed. Let's see if this reaction has changed. Bullet Club versus United Empire in a steel cage 5-on-5 match. I would guess this felt more like a War Games rules where one member of each side came in after X amount of time, but Bullet Club having the advantage throughout the match. I'll start. I like the match. I
did too.
I would be lying if I said otherwise.
And I rated it highly.
Yes, I did as well. Now, Obviously, it got a little sticky when we started to rip up the apron and expose the wood underneath. A couple guys went through that wood, which was a little bit scary to say the least. And I usually don't get too cringy in situations like this, but once guys were falling through the ring, that's where I was getting a little concerned on just the safety of
the Coughlin one specifically. To me, like, he started like kind of running and his leg literally just fell through, and I'm like, well, there's an ACL tear. Thankfully, but as you said earlier, he might be hurt. We don't know. So I think Azar said, or someone said they read that he might be hurt. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me based on that. And just like that was the one to me. It's like, all right, what the fuck are we doing here? And I loved the match. I really did. But it truly did get a little unsafe. And they were all just still fucking going at it. And I'm like, guys, be careful.
Yeah, Hanari, that's the one spot that we didn't see that apparently was, so bad that they wanted to keep it off camera. I'm like, no, man, show that shit. At least give me the replay of,
and
how it happened.
No surprise, Hanare and Coughlin not in the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, and I think that from this 211 cage match is probably the reason why.
I'd say so.
Obviously, Bullet Club wins this match. It goes over an hour long. I think it was an hour and 4 minutes and some change. Yeah. Second longest match in New Japan history. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love the match. I think we could have shaved off probably about 15 minutes of that. And that's really when you had the apron ripped up and all the shenanigans after the fact. Now, if you to take that away and just kind of skip to David Finlay and his apparent coronation as the top gaijin, that part, got me back into the match because it really was a point where all United Empire was basically, either incapacitated or handcuffed in some fashion. Where they couldn't help Will Ospreay, and now David.
Well, Finlay. And not only that, he threw Akira out of the ring, which I thought was awesome. The finish was fucking perfection.
Yeah, if you just skip to that point, that's when I was like, okay, this is now getting me back into the match itself. It reminded me that this is supposed to be entertainment. David Finlay getting the pin, not a huge surprise. Like I said, it felt like the coronation of him being the top gaijin, and that's how you're supposed to do it. Hey, Mr. Okada, take some notes. Neither here nor there. Like I said, you take those 15 minutes away. I thought it was a really good match. I gave it 4.5 stars just for the fact that the match itself was so good, so wild. The many, I shouldn't use the word many, but the spots where guys were falling through the ring definitely shouldn't be happening, and I hope it never happens again. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't entertained from the start to the finish.
No doubt. Yeah, I went 4.75, and I was never going to go 5 because of that, but it was fucking amazing. And just the buildup, we already talked about it, that 2-4 show, just everything, they built this up so fucking perfectly. And it wasn't a guarantee, but Finlay and Bullet Club had to win, yes. And I'm glad it went that way. Like we said, the finish was perfect with everyone being out. Akira was in the ring with him. Ospreay spared him. It was basically just like giving himself up, cut my head off. Like, it was very tragic, epic, felt like a movie almost, for real.
He was a tragic hero in this scenario.
Yeah, and it was just and it was fucking so brutal throughout. I love fucking Drilla Maloney came out strapped with forks. Just so much weaponry and just insanity.
Those forks, I'm like, now see, y'all need to leave Francisco Akira alone, man. That motherfucker's
poor guy. He didn't even want to be out there.
He got the battalion of forks on his chest. I was like, Jesus.
But when Akira came in from the back and jumped in too, that was climbed the cage and flew in. That was sick. So much shit happened, and it's been so long. Things are coming to me as I'm talking, but it was so beautifully brutal and disgusting. But Drilla Maloney and Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd, those three, say what you will, Coughlin and Finlay are both great, but those three are just the fucking man.
No, kudos to Drilla Maloney because he's obviously been playing hurt as of late.
Yeah. I fucking love that guy. From someone I'd only known his name less than a year ago, like he is the fucking man.
Yeah, that's when I say him and Clark Connors are
They've
really
been
good
such a fun team.
Yeah. Wish they wouldn't have beat Catch-22 so quick, but like, neither here nor there.
But yeah, this was it. The whole thing felt like a fucking movie. Like I said, it was awesome. But yeah, it got a little hairy there, and it, like you said, it did go long, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, like I want to say just credit to all.
Okay, when we started to tear up the ring, I was like, oh, okay, we gonna be here for a little bit. Let me walk around.
I got to give credit to all 10 human beings for putting their bodies on the line and doing that shit, because that was just fucking wild. And I'd give it that bump extra quarter star up just for the sheer like impressiveness of those guys going out there, putting themselves through that, doing that, and keeping it together of like a cohesive story for over an hour.
And that's me what was the biggest thing, is that there was still a story being told as over the top as we were getting at certain points. We were still telling the story. And the story to me was, Will Ospreay falling on the sword on the way out the door and making sure that Akira and others didn't have to, suffer the fate that he knew that he was going to have to suffer. The post-match was perfect. Hey, I'll be back, all this other good stuff where now Okada is, saying he'll never be back. And that kind of, puts me off a little bit. I don't think it's a never comes back kind of deal, but, we'll see. We shall see on that. Let's jump over to the two most recent shows, the 23rd.
Before we get all stinky and weird, I do want to go back and talk top 5 matches of the year, because I think we just talked 2 of them, maybe even 3. So Sabre and Danielson is definitely my match of the year thus far. I have 3 5-star matches. That's one of them. I would put Michael Oku and Will Ospreay 2 from the recent Rev Pro show. Did you end up watching that?
No, I haven't seen that yet. I was trying to squeeze that in before we recorded. I went back and watched the first match because I hadn't seen
that. Was awesome too.
And I saw the first match just so I can be like, okay, let me get in the backstory behind it. And that first match was really fucking good.
Yeah, this one's even better. And then 3 is Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay. And then I've got a handful of 4-7-5s, but yeah, I would probably put Gabe Kidd and Hanare in the 4 spot. And then, I mean, I know at the time I said I enjoyed Naito and Sonata more than Danielson Okada, but now that's even got a little stink on it, and we'll get to that. And I'll put Danielson Okada in the 5 spot. As I said, it was a better match. Yeah. Just in the moment, for whatever reason, I really enjoyed that Wrestle Kingdom main event, but not going to look so fondly back on it now after the most recent chapter, but we'll get to that. But yeah, those are my top 5. Any, just off the top of your head, what are some of your favorites of the year?
You pretty much covered it. I was going to say we usually are pretty close when it comes to our ratings for matches, but yeah, Okada, Danielson, ZSJ for sure to me are going to be there when we do the high twist next year. From there, I would really have to stop and take looks at it. This Bullet Club, War Dog, Bullet Club, United Empire. It's not going to be in the top 5, but I think it'll be on my top 50 somewhere. Yeah. It'll be like
that's definitely a memorable one. Let's put it that way.
We need that 4-7-5, 4-5 charge or whatever the case may be. So the top 2 that really stand out for sure would be Okada, Danielson, ZSJ. Those are both 5-star matches. From there, I'm willing to let the other things play themselves out.
Did you watch Ospreay Alexander from Impact?
I believe I did. I think, yeah, because that was the rematch or whatever. It ended on like a C4 spike, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and Scott D'Amore cut that sick promo after before he got fired.
Yeah, that's tell.
But yeah, that match, I fucking love that match too. But anyway, we can now move on to these fucking weird shows.
Let's jump into the 223 show. Let's just talk all title matches going forward. Nothing that beforehand that we need to talk about it as I'm looking at it. No. Okay, so let's start with a match that I was definitely curious with. the women's IWGP title match where you have Mina Shirakawa versus Mayu Iwatani, 12-28 bell to bell. Mayu retains the title in a pretty good match. I was concerned, and I still think the Tam Nakano title match was leaving a negative feeling in my pit of my stomach. I was just hoping that they would get some time to at least have a quote unquote Stardom type match. And I think that's what we got here. It was basically just ring the bell and let these two go out and do what they do. Mina I didn't know she was a fitness model before she started wrestling. So to me, that makes her ascension to where she is right now even more so incredible, to where I never thought she would beat Mayu, but I'll be damned if she wasn't keeping up with her and giving her, fits.
I was hoping.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I was just thinking that it was probably asking a little too much, especially with Micah being the red belt champion. Those two, Micah and Mina Shirakawa, being in a new faction together, it would have been a little hard for me to think that they would have the top two titles in women's Joshi wrestling when it comes to New Japan and Stardom. Neither here nor there. I thought this match was good, not great. 3-7-5. What'd you think?
Yeah, I went 4, and it's my match of the night, which I think is indicative of the rest of the card. But yeah, like you said, they got 12 and a half minutes, and I think they absolutely made the most of it. I was, like you said, not thinking Mina would win, but a small part of me believed it could happen, which is
rooting for Mina. But if I had to pick, I was going to pick Mayu.
Yeah, I would have picked Mayu for sure. But you know how much I love Mina. I did know that she was a fitness model, which is why I did love her ascension that much. Like, in the time we've been watching, we've talked plenty about it, just how much she's improved and gotten really, really good. And I think this was just a testament to that, to put her in this spot on this show. And like you said, they went out and had a heck of a match, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, 4 stars, match of the night.
That's wild as hell. Next up, you had El Desperado versus SHO for the IWGP Junior.
Fuck this shit.
Oh, my.
Jesus fucking Christ. What are we doing here?
Especially when Despy just got this damn thing back. 16-13 bell to bell. SHO wins the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title off of Desperado.
By count out.
I was getting to that point with, of course, a gang of fuckery, but ultimately the biggest fuckery was Ren Narita coming from underneath the ring to choke out El Desperado to make sure that he can't get back into the ring for the count out victory. I will say this. I've never been a big fan of the count out victory. I like it just because it's something different. You know, it's a little twist that New Japan has that other promotions don't. That being said, there is no goddamn way that I wanted this match to end in a count out victory for a title
change.
Right. Now, if you want to take the title off of El Desperado, okay, I guess, that's another discussion for another time, but fine. Just don't do it like this. That's all I fucking ask. I knew that we were going to get House of Torture fuckery. We got it. We got it in the following match with Shota versus Evil. Okay, fair enough. It's a little different than what we've done before where, X person distracts, Y person, does the damage, and then Z gets the pin. It was different than that formula, but goddamn, this is not the way to pass the fucking title of all things, not the count out. That's all I asked. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was fine, but just the way you finish it bothers the fuck out of me.
0 stars. 0 stars. I think we call that a dud in the business. Fuck this. Like I said, this sucked. Same fucking thing. SHO winning the KOPW, and now this title that actually means something, that has a lineage and a legacy, and we get this bullshit. Oh, and I just don't have anything else to say. I hated this, and I hated this a lot more than what happened in the main event, but that really fucking pissed me off too. And no disrespect to Nic Nemeth, we'll get there. but we just got done talking about the coronation of David Finlay, and you fucking wiped that away in less than 2 weeks. But this was just dumb fucking bullshit is what this was. Next.
Shota versus Evil for
next.
Heavyweight Championship. You ain't shit. 15:45 bell to bell. Evil retains in more House of Torture fuckery. I didn't think that Shota had much of a chance, especially seeing what happened the match before. Now you had Dick Togo at ringside. It was just, okay, how are we going to allow Shota to lose this match? Not as bad as the count out, but still just the same old House of Torture bullshit. 3.5 on this one too. Neither one of them are, I shouldn't even say neither one of them are worse. The count out is worse. The physical matches are basically about the same. I should just knock the Shota, the Despy show match down a point or two, but neither here nor there.
Down 3.5 points. I got one word for this match. Next.
Let's move along. I don't have much to say about it, honestly, because, I mean, Evil is the never open weight champion. Feels like it's going to be a thing, and it's just going to take an act of Congress to get him off of that never open weight title. You just got so many guys for House of Torture that could come in at any given point, and you know that it's going to happen. He just feels like he's going to be the never champion for the foreseeable future, which is that just sucks dick, but neither here nor there. Next up, you have Tanahashi versus Matt Riddle for the World TV Championship. Tanahashi obviously taking the title off of one Zack Sabre Jr. recently, with Matt Riddle coming out of the woodwork after getting released from WWE and signing with MLW. He comes out after one of the New Japan, New Beginning tour shows and challenges Tanahashi for this championship. Never really thought much of it. I'll be honest. I do like Matt Riddle non-WWE. When he was in Evolve, I thought
I liked Matt Riddle in WWE for the most part. I'm a Matt Riddle guy.
His gimmick was never something that appealed to me personally. You know,
but he still had some good matches. Like the feud with Rollins was solid, and I mean, there's like some with Sheamus, like a few years ago. I remember sticking out as being pretty good. But I feel you there. They definitely they rode a little too much.
Right, it was too much of the stoner gimmick was a little over the top for me. If you just let him be his natural MMA,
we know he can wrestle. Yeah.
Okay, that's the guy that I was introduced to, and I was like, oh, who the fuck is this? Neither here nor there. This was
weird.
Yeah. I'm watching it. I'm like, is this getting ready to happen? I'm like, and don't get me wrong. A part of me doesn't even think Tanahashi should be the world TV champion. Somebody else younger that could use the rub from Zack Sabre Jr. and run with it for a little bit would have been my preference.
Remember when they introduced this belt and they said it was going to be for the young and up-and-coming stars?
Okay, yeah, I did not. You just threw that song in the game. Okay, sorry, Tanahashi. I was trying to defend you there, but Brett just fucked it up for everybody. So in that scenario, okay, I totally understand why you have a problem with this. Matt Riddle winning the title isn't the worst thing. It was just weird.
Yeah, like this didn't piss me off in any way. Yeah, it was just weird. I didn't expect it.
No.
I'm not necessarily mad about it, but I'm not happy about it. I agree with you. Like, you know, we talked on the Wrestle Kingdom episode. I didn't think Zach should have lost, but it has kind of opened the door up to him or for him to move up a little bit. But yeah, like it's just weird. And like I said from the onset, like this whole show and the next show, this one more so, this one was weird and just bad. Like this just was not a good show at all and left me feeling really off about New Japan as a whole. But yeah, this was far from the most offensive, as we've obviously just been through. And then what's to come next? Again, no disrespect to Nic Nemeth. But yeah, whatever. I guess we'll see what happens. Riddle's kind of been teaming with United Empire because he and Cobb have a history together. So we'll see. I mean, if how much that continues. And yeah, just bizarre. Just bizarre.
Well, let's get to it. Main event on the 23rd was for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. You had the champion, David Finlay, versus the challenger, Nic Nemeth. Now, I was pretty excited about this match. I had avoided spoilers coming up to this point, just so I would be invested for what was getting ready to happen. I always wanted to see Nic Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler outside of a WWE ring, just because when you've been in some place for so long, you want to see what this person can do outside of that comfort zone that he has been in. This wasn't not different than what I've seen from Nic Nemeth. I thought he was, the usual. He sold really well, and that to me is one of Nic Nemeth's greatest strengths, is that he can sell the shit out of any kind of move. And that's one of the things that I got from this match. David Finlay wasn't necessarily bad, but he wasn't necessarily good. I don't know if this was a chemistry issue, or I'm just talking about the match. The booking part of it, we can dive into that in a second. Just something wasn't meshing with the match. It was good, but then it never felt like it got out of a second gear, where, we got a couple of, good high spots, but then it never really, extended to the next tier where I'm used to a New Japan main event, slowly but surely building up to this crescendo where, it's just like, oh my God, it was a great match. It never really got to a third level or a fourth level, whatever you want to call it. Nic Nemeth winning is definitely the part that throws me, because I guess if we're going to say this is the global heavyweight championship, or, the full intercontinental championship, I don't think you need to have it being, moved around from promotion to promotion. RAC, Nic Nemeth, getting ready to defend it in Impact or whatever in March or whatever. So it almost feels like this was in the works. This was already being planned. And now, if that's the case, then why is David Finlay even being the champion? The whole reason for David, in my mind, for David Finlay to be this guy to win the title is to, position him as, if not the top guys in, but one of the two, him and ZSJ being either or. The fact that they take the title off from him on V1 was the biggest surprise, and just ultimately disappointing, because I like David Finlay. I was looking forward to see what he would do as the inaugural global heavyweight champion, and now that's been snuffed to shit. I gave it 3.75. I thought this was a little better than the women's title match, but the booking of it is just, it's weird.
To say the least. Yeah, I was also 3.75. I thought, like you said, the match was good. The work was good. I wouldn't say it felt off, but yeah, you're right. It didn't really get to that third gear. It was a lot of Finlay working on top, kind of dominating, yelling at him, "I'm going to end your career." Like, I liked all that stuff. However, this was the spoiler I had coming in, but I almost didn't want to believe it, because I caught it. I think I said on our text thread, I literally opened Instagram to look at a picture of my nephew, and like something popped in and it looked like Nic Nemeth holding the title for the half second I saw it. I'm like, ah! And so I like refused to believe it, because I'm like, it can't be. It can't be, after what's happened with David Finlay in the last 2 months or month and a half, getting that huge win at Wrestle Kingdom, becoming the inaugural champ. Ending Will Ospreay's New Japan career emphatically, and to have him lose a week and a half later. And again, I really like Nic Nemeth, and I really enjoyed his performance here, and I'm excited to see him both here and Impact and wherever else he goes. I'm very excited, but this was just the wrong fucking call. And it's even weirder that, at least kayfabe, it's Gato's boy. And you spend all this fucking time building him up. Hell, all of last year building him up.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was up and down, mostly up. I'm with you. I like David Finlay. I've been impressed with his growth. Like I said, it's not all been perfect, But from where he was 3 years ago to now, I mean, shit. And agreed, he should have been the number 2 Gaijin, because let's just be honest, he's no Zack Jr. But at least how they were booking him and presenting him, it was as that top guy. Let's not forget, not only Will Ospreay, he put the exclamation point on Jay White, who he lost to Eddie Kingston, but then Finlay came out and beat the shit out of him and really took the reins of Bullet Club. So he takes out the previous top 2 Gaijins, only to lose to Nic fucking Nemeth. Again, no disrespect. For real.
All due respect.
And this is a guy who's not even a full-time New Japan guy. Right. David Finlay is.
Right.
It just doesn't make any fucking sense. And I hate that it doesn't make me resent Nic Nemeth, but I just can't take him super seriously as the champ, right? Like, Finlay had the opportunity. And again, like you said earlier, not his fault at all that this happened, but he had the opportunity to really take this ball and run with it. And I think he was on that path. Everything he'd been doing this year specifically was awesome. Taking out Ospreay was perfect. And now this, I'm just
had this title for like 6 months.
At least 3 or 4. Drop it at Dominion. Fine, whatever. But at least get a few defenses under your belt. I mean, New Japan Cup's coming up. That's an opportunity. He made the final last year.
Okay,
I wouldn't. Go ahead.
Here's my problem with that. And I know we're going to talk about New Japan Cup here in a couple minutes. My only problem with David Finlay winning the New Japan Cup is now, why would he have to drop the title to win the New Japan Cup?
Yeah, and I highly doubt he's going to beat Naito. I wouldn't want to see it.
No, not because that now really wouldn't make sense. I mean,
now, especially.
Yeah, because then he shouldn't have been the global heavyweight champion to begin with, and just position him in the scenario where you could get him against Naito and to go that route. This was just weird, especially on the fact of the New Japan side. You built up David Finlay, you made him the first champion of the global heavyweight title, and then on the first defense, this should have been the layup.
Yes.
They take it away from him. That's just weird to me.
I mean, this kind of screams Finlay winning the belt back from Nic Nemeth, because, like, he's got to come for it again, I would think. If he doesn't, then really what the fuck are we doing here? Yeah. And whatever if he wins it back, but why the fuck did he need to lose it in the first place? Similarly with SHO and El Desperado. Like, Despy's going to come coming for that, or just fucking move him up to heavyweight, god damn it,
That's what it's either. Well, Yo ran off with the title on this the 24 show. That's a nice little segue into.
I skipped that match, so
no, I watched, of course.
That was because it was the opener. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to watch this shit.
No, I say, but part of the reason why I watched some of this shit is because of shit like this. Yo takes off with the title, so in my head, this is post match, by the way. Yeah, he runs up the ramp with the title, so I'm like, okay. We haven't done SHO versus Yo in a while. We throw in the title. That would make some sense too. But Desperado marched up the ramp after them. So now I'm like, okay. So now I'm thinking triple threat. Ultimately, is this Desperado and Hiromu's time to both move up? Hiromu obviously taking the L to Doki on this 224 show. A little bit of a surprise, but if you've been kind of watching New Japan on a regular basis, I think they had been kind of building up to this point where Doki finally was going to beat Hiromu, and did it. It was great. It was great. I thought it was really good. I was going to say, I was in my head, I was like, I'm watching. I'm like, is this getting ready to happen? I'm like, oh shit, this is getting ready to happen. And when he finally, got the backslide win, I was like, oh shit. So now in my head, like Desperado, we talked about moving up. Hiromu's taking a couple of L's to Doki. I'm not saying that that's going to run him out of the junior division, but this is the rub that, an Okada should have gave, fill in the blank on the way out of the door. And I'm thinking that's what Hiromu is doing for Doki. Maybe both guys move up and go into the heavyweight ranks at some point post New Japan Cup.
Well, I was a little discouraged because I was hoping one, if not both of them, would be in the New Japan Cup. And weirdly enough, TJP was, I think, the only junior in the field, if I recall correctly.
I think that's right. Sounds right.
Which I like TJP, but of all people, why him? Of all the juniors.
Yeah, there's really say either or Hiromu or Desperado would have been a better choice just on cachet resume.
And real quick before we move on, typically at the anniversary show, the heavyweight champ is challenged by the junior heavyweight champ, which is currently SHO.
I know.
We could have seen El Desperado versus Tetsuya Naito, which would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And now it's fucking SHO. So what I hope happens is Naito says, fuck that. I don't want anything to do with this piece of shit. Give me Hiromu like we were supposed to do 4 years ago. If that happens, it'll make up for a lot of these sins here.
I'll go this far. I watched the backstage after the 224 show, and SHO was waiting for Naito after the match. And
God damn it.
It already feels like that wheel's already in motion to the point where.
Well, there's another main event ruined.
Yeah, I think they're just going to go with that. Nonetheless, between now and that anniversary show,
I don't think there's really anything. I don't even know if there's any shows.
Okay, so like I said, I got the sneaky suspicion that's going to be your anniversary show.
And that just fucking pisses me off.
I hear you. What could have been?
El Desperado Naito, SHO Naito. Get the fuck out of here.
Hiromu Naito, SHO Naito. So I mean,
this show just really, really put a bad taste in my mouth.
I can't say it put a bad taste in my mouth. I just came out like I really didn't want to watch the 224 show like the way I should have wanted to watch it. You know, even though you had the main event. We could talk about that here in a second. Let's just talk about the one match that I know we want to talk about.
Hold on one sec. I do want to say my viewing experience for this was odd too, because I went to a wedding Saturday. Mm-hmm. I got up, watched Elimination Chamber first, and then I'm like, okay, I at least want to get these final two matches in because I didn't want those to get spoiled. Even though, I mean, if Naito would have lost, that might have been it for me. But so I watched those last two. What was that? Sorry.
I was going to say if Naito would have lost, the Phoenix Splash podcast would have been over.
I think you're like, after all this other shit that happened, if that would have happened, I think we might have packed it in. But so it was just weird watching it this way because I had that bad taste in my mouth. I did, and we'll get into it. I did enjoy Tsuji Uemura, but it underwhelmed me. And then that main event was on the way to being good, and then botch, and then it just, oh God, it really just kind of fell apart, and they lost me. And that left a bad taste in my mouth. And then I'm like, God damn, what the fuck, New Japan? And then I go back and it's like, okay, Doki Hiromu was tight. Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, even Bushi Taka was very serviceable. And then
it was better than I anticipated for sure.
Yeah, Doki Hiromu and Taichi Shingo, both 4 1/4 in my book, both very, very enjoyable. So it's like at least I got to end my new beginning experience on a high note with those two matches because that main event just really was not very good.
No, it definitely got clunky in spots. Like you said, towards the end, second time this has happened between the two guys.
But they brought it back at Wrestle Kingdom, and that's what made me really enjoy it. Is like it could have unraveled like this did, but they were able to get it back, get the crowd back, have a great 6-8 minute final stretch. In this one, it was like they had the one, but it's come on like a Destino. Oh, the one was the Tornado DDT, but there's been a couple Destinos. It's like, and again, I'm not someone to like penalize botches happen, but when it already happened at Wrestle Kingdom and then it happens 2 or 3 times in bad times, it just was unfortunate.
No, the finish where, God bless Walker Stewart and Chris Charlton.
They were doing their best.
Yeah. Whereas the Tornado DDT and it doesn't get all the way around, it ends up in the small package finish. I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, first, is everybody okay?
Yeah.
Before we even get to, raising of the hands and the title belt and the roll call and all this other shit, is everybody okay? Because that's the one spot where I was like, Sonata just fell on his fucking head. God.
Yeah, it did not look very good.
No, and I don't want to say it's, it's bad chemistry, but I think, Naito's probably on his last leg, literally on his last leg. The knees have not been very, kind to him over the years, and him just repeatedly going out and doing these spots where it takes agility. It takes, the Cabarona spot in the corner where, he can barely jump over the top rope before he can sweep the leg out.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that, where I'm watching them, it's like, this feels Tanahashi-ish all over again, where now I don't want to see my boy, decline, and I'm watching him decline. It's not a fun watch. So for me, it's not necessarily, it's not going to be something I want to see happen, but he got the title belt back. He did the roll call after, Wrestle Kingdom. There's not much else that I could see for Naito to do at this point. I know he wants to, main event in Yokohama and all that other good shit. I don't know if we make it to that point, because this title reign is off to a bumpy start, to say the least.
Yeah, I do hope he still has it going into April 12th in Chicago, because I would love to see he and Mox for the title, and, we'll see who ends up winning the New Japan Cup. But yeah, you're right. That title is probably a little more in jeopardy than we thought it would have been after he won it. But
Agreed.
I still think he's going to get 6+ months. The last time
feels about right.
COVID hit, a month or two after he wins, then the whole evil bullshit, and it just, through no fault of his own, could not have that, major big title run. And I think he's at least earned the right to get, 6 months, 4 defenses, whatever it may be. But again, who the fuck knows what's going on right now in New Japan, and Gato's smoking some weird ass shit. But
no shit. Let's talk hair versus hair. You said it was underwhelming. Why did you think it was underwhelming?
I think for a hair versus hair, that stipulation, everything they've already been through, it just lacked the killer instinct, the intensity. But it was good. It was more like technical, though. Right. And I was actually watching with a friend of mine who hadn't really watched much wrestling in the last year or so, but he's watched plenty of New Japan with me, but for various reasons hadn't been watching recently, and he had not seen Tsuji yet. And I'm talking him up and how great he is. This offense and even commentary. We haven't seen the flash from Yota Tsuji yet, and it just never came. And again, for something that should have been, it just didn't feel as intense as it should have been, given the stipulation, given the history. But I thought the work was very good, and I still enjoyed it. But I was just expecting a little bit more. I went 4 here. I went 3.75 on the main event. I was let down by both. I'm just going to say it.
I'll say this, just my thoughts on the hair versus hair. When it started to get towards the 30-minute time limit, I knew it wasn't going to be a draw, but I was just like, okay, so that they're fucking with us, because the one of the major stories, the story as Young Lions, is that they have 20+ draws between them or something along those lines. It's always, when you saw Tsuji and Uemura come out as Young Lions, a safe bet was this match was going to go the 10-minute time limit draw. So when they started to get to that point, I had to chuckle. It was like, okay, I know it's not going to be a draw, but it's the irony isn't missed. I will agree with you that it wasn't nearly as intense as it should have been. Okay. Especially in a hair versus hair match, but a part of me kind of thinks that Uemura didn't have, neither one of these guys have had their real, a long reign with their hair. So in my mind, I was like, if either guy gets their hair cut, it's not the end of the world. Tsuji would probably be the one that is hurt the most, because he feels like he's been built up more faster, more rapidly than Uemura has. That was my thought going into it. It didn't, like you said, it wasn't intense, but I thought it was still a pretty good match. Honestly, it was the match of the night. I gave it 4.25. I gave the main event 4. it just missed that oomph.
Yeah.
There was other encounters beforehand in, the build up to this match that felt, like, oh shit, this is what this hair versus hair match is going to be like. And that's what I was kind of expecting. It was going to be more athleticism, more Yota Tsuji just, flying around the ring versus Uemura being more of the technical guy. They said Ricky Steamboat multiple times. I was like, okay, that's a pretty good comp. I can deal with that. So in that scenario, I was waiting for the dynamic, the dichotomy, if you will, of those two styles to kind of play against each other. And that never really happened. It happened in points, but just never really happened the way I thought it would. Good, not great, but ultimately, I think the right guy won the match. Yota Tsuji should be the next guy of this young lion group. I love Shota Umino. I do. But Yota Tsuji to me just has more charisma. I don't care if you give Shota Umino his own fucking interest. That does not mean shit to me. It's nice to watch, but he just doesn't, for me, he doesn't have that same charisma, that same swag that Yota Tsuji has.
I mean, they're all great. Even Narita's great, and obviously doing something different now. But yeah, and I loved their Wrestle Kingdom match, which they only got like 12 minutes, but I enjoyed that one a heck of a lot more than this one, to be honest. And I think they made the most of the 12 minutes. It was a lot more fast-paced and intense. And yeah, they went 28 plus. It wasn't going to be blistering the whole way, but it didn't even really get into a second gear much. And again, the action was good, but it was just not what I was expecting, especially for a hair versus hair. And it's just a weird couple of shows.
Rules. I expect like a table to come out.
Yeah,
to get involved.
He never even did his flip to the outside. It was teased at the very beginning. That never came. I think he hit one stomp. He hit probably about 6 on Ospreay. Mm-hmm. And even the spear to win it wasn't, not saying it was weak, but it wasn't as impactful as I'm used to with him. And yeah, it just didn't really hit for me.
If it wasn't so close to the end, because part of me was kind of like, okay, we're getting under, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, the end is coming up. Something's got to give. I was looking for it at that point, and I don't want to look for it. I just wanted it to naturally, organically happen. The move, in the vacuum of the match, when Uemura hits the headbutt and Yota goes out of the picture for like 2 or 3 seconds, I was like, okay, shit, we got something going. If that would have happened like 5 minutes beforehand, now it feels like it would have been, a part organically supposed to happen versus we built this up to now, in the last 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to put this spot in. It just felt like it was too choreographed, for lack of a better word. I don't know. It could have been better, but it definitely wasn't the worst match of this new beginnings tour by any stretch.
Nope. Yeah, it is what it is.
Did we forget anything?
No, I mean, we briefly touched on the other three. Like, I think Doki getting his moment was great. I mean, you could see the emotion when he got that win. They've had a few very good matches, better matches than this, that have, gotten more time or been for the junior title. But I thought for the 15 minutes or so, I thought it was excellent. And this, you said it earlier, is like, it's been building to this for Doki. His first win over Hiromu, definitely the biggest win of his career. The guy's just from when he stepped in, I think in 2019, and no one knew who he was, like, he's come such a long way, but it's taken time, and the fans are on his side now. Let's see that motherfucker take the belt off SHO, baby.
Like, you born Hiromu? Damn.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Y'all some fickle motherfuckers around here, but I ain't mad at you. No, it was good to see Doki get the win, of course. What's the follow-up?
Yeah, well, I'd like to see him challenge for the junior title.
Okay, that to me is good.
Well, and we got Best of the Super Juniors kind of right around the corner. I mean, we're like probably 2.5 months away. So let's see him. He's never really made much noise in that tournament. I think,
this would be a good time for him to.
Without thinking, he might have had like 8 points last year or something like that, but I don't think he's ever cracked double digits. So even if he doesn't win, I'd like to see a heck of a run from him. And after last year with Teton and Master Wado, which was a great tournament, it's like anything can fucking happen now. And I'm excited for it.
Go down again.
Let's talk just real quick. Taichi Shingo, we've seen it many a times, but it was just another very, very good chapter. And they went to blows down the stretch, and glad Taichi got the dub because I think he just needs it a little more right now.
Without question. I was going to say, if one of them gets a title again, that's always going to be a fallback feud to go to at any given point. I wouldn't be upset if these two bumped into each other in the New Japan Cup. Speaking of which, let's just talk about it really quick. I know that the brackets just came out. I took a quick look at it. I would be lying if I said it was a little lackluster when it comes to splash name talent, but this, like we said before, a chance for an opportunity for guys to step up and show what they can do in a situation where you don't have Okada and others looming over your head to win this whole thing. For me, it's really two guys. It's Shingo and ZSJ. Those are my two favorites. But like you said, for me, I don't necessarily need to see ZSJ Naito right now because I don't think that ZSJ would win right now. Shingo Naito is a match that you wouldn't even thought about until Naito won the title, and now we can.
I've been thinking a lot about it ever since the first one because they've still only had the one. I think it was 2019 G1, and it was fucking awesome. So yeah, that's something I've been thinking a lot about, and I think I even said I picked Shingo before the brackets were even released just because I want to see that match so fucking bad.
I got Shingo too. Like I said, I don't think that this is it would be weird to see somebody outside of those two guys win it, but not saying it'd be weird in a bad way. It'd just be, a different booking that I wouldn't necessarily see coming. Is there a dark horse that you see that I'm not seeing?
I got the bracket pulled up right here. My dark horse pick will be Shota Umino. Interesting that he and Jack Perry. We'll see Jack Perry's official New Japan debut. I figured they would save that for the Chicago show just because, Jack attacked Shota at the last American show. But so I'm at least intrigued by that. This will probably spin off into something there, which means Jack Perry will probably win. But I could see Shota going on a little bit of a run because I just look and think of a Final Four. Zach and Shingo seem obvious, but maybe that seems too obvious.
Too obvious.
And then David Finlay, Sonata, Shota. I think of the New Japan Cup like a few years ago, I think was like all chalk. Like it was all like the big names winning. And last year was the opposite. It was Sonata, David Finlay in the final. So I think it could be a little more chalk. Your chalk pick would be Sonata, David Finlay on one side, and then ZSJ and Shingo on the other. But yeah, I'm going with Shingo with the head and the heart. But yeah, I think other than those four names, I'd be surprised to see anyone else win it.
Jack Perry in the New Japan Cup.
There are a few interesting first round matchups. Shingo and Yuya, Jeff Cobb and Yota Tsuji. Obviously, Jack Perry.
Going to get any play in this because Jeff Cobb feels like a name that should be mentioned a whole lot more. Another guy that that should benefit for the fact that Okada's not around.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a match against Yota Tsuji to kick it off because I wouldn't want to see either of those guys lose in the first round, but whoever wins is going to have to go through Zach. So, but yeah, I could see Cobb. Cobb could certainly make a little bit of a run here, no doubt.
Dude, that's just come on.
And another one, Gabe Kidd versus Callum Newman is certainly an interesting match.
I did see that too. I was like, okay, so I'm not mad at Bullet Club when United Empire is still crossing paths. I just don't want it to be like LIJ versus just five guys.
Yeah, when that could set up potential Gabe versus Shingo's second round match, which would fucking rip.
Sign me up, player.
So yeah, this is going to be great. And like I said earlier, hopefully this is the true new beginning. We turn the page on all the bullshit that happened. I mean, the title holders are still weird and But again, with the rate they've been changing, hopefully some of them will be changing again soon. But it's just fucking weird.
Yeah, it's a good way to end the New Japan discussion. Let's talk a little Noah, because I know
segue right into another title change.
Yeah, a nice segue if I do say so myself. Thanks for the assist. I believe that was the crossover in Sendai 2-4 being the date. The main event being El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Kenoh for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. I believe this was Kenoh's third defense. Sounds right.
Second or third. It wasn't long again.
And that's, I think, is the a good starting point where I was a little, again, I wouldn't say worried, but just thinking in my head, this was the first time where I thought that Kenoh could actually drop the title. I didn't think he would drop it, but in the back of my mind, I was like, this could happen. It just, it would be weird if it did. But as I think about it, reflecting on it, Monday night quarterback, if you will, it's not weird. Kenoh has just been a short-term transitional and I hate even to use the word transitional when it comes to Kenoh, because to me, he's, if not the top guy, one of the top guys in pro wrestling. Noah, he should never be a transitional champion. And now it's kind of feels like it's happened again. Real good match, 29-37 bell to bell. El Hijo Dr. Wagner Jr. wins the title. I gave it 4.25 stars. I was just surprised at the finish. Ultimately, they threw everything at each other. This was a match that I expected. The finish was just, it was great. Don't get me wrong. The finish was cool too. I believe it was moonsault off the top that ends the match. But when it happened, I was just like, oh, yeah, holy shit. And it was just a surprise once again that Noah has, I don't think they really care about long-term title reigns or credibility in their champions, because it ain't just at the top of the card. It's, the tag titles seem to be flopping around left and right. God bless Jack Morris. He's held down the national title for a hot minute, but that feels like the one that seems like it always stays with somebody for a minute. All the rest of them, anybody can get some at any given point. Go ahead, say what you want to say about Kenoh's latest short title reign.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a bummer. I love Dr. Wagner. I've always been a big fan. We've talked at length about how much he and Jack Morris have both improved a ton in the last year plus. But yeah, I'm not mad about him winning it at all. I'm just mad it happened this early because Nakajima's gone. Like you said, Kenoh, he is the top guy. Kaito, is up there, but he's been in New Japan. Go Shiozaki is great, but obviously past his prime. It's Kenoh. And this just felt like the time.
Either like him or you don't.
What's that?
I was saying, like, Jake Lee is either hit or miss. I see some fans like him, some fans.
But at least he got that nice title reign, and I just figured Kenoh would as well. It was 99 days, just short of 100. It was his third defense. Yeah. The last one, he did not defend it once successfully. This just felt like the time for Kenoh to just be the guy and hold on to that belt for a long time and make it a big deal when he does lose it to Dr. Wagner Jr. at 8 months down the line. I just would have liked to see more length, more good matches, more just dominance out of Kenoh, because he should be the fucking man there now. But yeah, love Dr. Wagner. Happy to see him as champ. Just wish it wasn't at Kenoh's expense. I went 4 on the match. I thought it was good, not great. And then I was just caught off guard, but it just felt a little off to me. But again, still some good action. But I just I wouldn't say I loved it, but there was a match earlier on this card that I did love a lot more than this, the junior tag or the heavyweight tag titles.
Which was a bit of a surprise too, where you had the, I would say, perennial junior tag champs in Alpha Wolf and Dragon Bane stepping up in weight class against.
As they should be.
No, I always thought it was a little weird that they were junior tag champs, but when you got Alpha Wolf running around here looking like, you know, a walking brick shit house. It's kind of like, you know, I guess he's a junior. You know, you going to tell him otherwise? No. So it's kind of like Congo. You know what I'm saying? Is he a junior? Yeah, he's a junior. Shit, he's a junior. So be it. They had the opportunity to take the heavyweight GHC tag titles off of Anthony Green and Jack Morris, two names we'll be talking about here shortly in a singles match. But for this scenario, it was a tag title match against Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf. I was really looking forward to this match because obviously this is, you know, my high twist tag team of the year. And I really look forward to seeing them at any given point. So going up in weight against the champs, I thought was curious to see how this was booked. And this was just the same old Dragon.
Oh, yeah. This was great.
It don't matter who was across from me. I thought this was probably the match of the night. I gave this 4.25 stars as well. Just better than the main event. I was a little disappointed that they Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf didn't win the titles, but you know, it's not the end of the world. I just figured that there's a plan for Anthony Green and Jack Morris, I guess, you know, to have them both be champions as Anthony Green tries to take the national title off. Jack Morris was, you know, a better story than having the former junior tag title champs come up and beat the current heavyweight tag title champs. Neither here nor there. Like I said, I thought this was really good. Another, you know, great chance to see Wolf and Bane together. Any chance I see them as a tag team, I always take advantage of it.
Yeah, I didn't look back. I think I went 4.5 on this, but a 4.25 minimum. It was just awesome. And yeah, Bane and Wolf, they're fantastic. We've talked plenty about them, but I want to talk about the GLG boys. They've just been so good since winning the belts. They're a fucking well-oiled machine together. I just think they give me like Bishamon vibes of like they're just really good together and they just work well together. You know, it's not like a ton of double team stuff, but it's a lot of like one come in and then the other follow up, or I don't know. It just really works well. And obviously it works for Dragon Bane and Alpha Wolf. We've talked plenty about them and just thought this was a great mix. And I was happy to see the champs retain. One, because we've had so little stability in this company with titles. And two, I think Jackie 2 belts, baby. He has been given the ball and he's fucking running with it and every opportunity. And I just love that guy. And Green is someone too that's just gotten better and better the longer he's been over there. And yeah, this was excellent. You know, would have been happy either way, but ultimately happy to see the champs retain.
No, I can't say I was mad by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I do like GLG as a faction, and Anthony Green getting the chance to get himself over is always a good thing. The match just before, just for the record, Daga retained the GHC junior title over O'Hara. I don't want to talk about this too much because it just pisses me off because I like O'Hara, but neither here nor there. Daga retains, and we can move on to the 23rd, I believe, was the 2 title matches that were most recently had. Speaking of GLG, the GLG tag team champions faced off against each other for the national championship. Anthony Green versus Jack Morris. I didn't even know this was happening until
Azar said something.
I was just like, well, I saw that and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, hang on, whoa. Cool. The champs are fighting each other. We got beef inside the GLG. What the fuck's going on? So, you know, this is one of the 4 or 5 matches I watched this afternoon. I like this match. I like the fact that Anthony Green did get a chance to at least challenge for the National Heavyweight Championship. By no means that I think he was going to win it, but it was good to see him get this chance. His N1 tournament, I guess it was 2 years ago, it feels like, would kind of put him on the map. For those who don't watch Noah, I've had a chance to see Anthony Green before that, so I kind of knew where we were walking into to begin with, but his ascension, not as sharp as a rise as Jack Morris. It's a slow but steady one. The fact that, like you said, him and Jack Morris retained the tag championships, that I didn't have a problem with that because I like Anthony Green that much. The more that I see him on TV in matches, is better for him. It's great for him. So in that scenario, wasn't mad about that. Wasn't mad about this. I gave it 3.75. No, I gave it 4 stars. I'm sorry, 4 stars on this national title match. It was a good chance for Anthony Green to show his work, and he did. But obviously, like you said, Jackie 2 belts is a thing right now. It's going to take a little more than Anthony Green to get the national title off of him.
Yeah, I went 3.75. Yeah, good showing for Anthony Green, and like you said, never really bought him as a winner. There were a couple nice moments. The crowd was getting behind him for sure, but yeah, just a good contest here. Won't blow you away, but just solid wrestling. There was never really too much beef, like you said. It was mostly out of respect, and yeah, just a solid ass match. And like you also said, just good to see Green get this chance. He looked pretty good doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just happy to see their tag title reign continue as well. But yeah, just good stuff here.
A couple of good looking guys fighting over
That's right.
The main event on that 223 show, a little underwhelming, but just for the record, Ida and Hayata versus Tadusuke and Yohei for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championships. GLG wins that as well. So the champs retain. I believe that was 15? No, it was 13-19. So yeah, even weirder for a main event that's under 15 minutes. But once again, neither here nor there. Didn't think that Ada and Hayata even needed to be in the spot to begin with, but they won I guess it was a build-up match to this to earn the title match. Okay, fair enough. 13 minutes is a little short for a main event in my mind. I gave it 3.5 stars. I know you didn't watch it, correct?
I did not.
No, I didn't think so. So just for the record, Daga comes. Actually, Tadusuke calls out Daga because he wants to be the next challenger for Daga. Daga comes out, says, "Okay, great, but we being Ogawa and Daga get a chance for the tag title." So it's basically a swap of.
I'm good with that.
Tag title match versus a junior title match. Tadusuke versus Daga for the junior title, and then you will have somewhere down the line, I'm not sure which match is which, but Daga and Ogawa versus the GLG group of Yohei and Tadusuke somewhere down the line. Did I miss anything on Pro Wrestling Noah that you wanted to talk about? Okay, let's jump over to TJPW real quick. Just talk about really the one match that should be discussed, even though the tournament I thought was a good tournament overall. The Max Hart tournament started, I believe it was the 20th of January, just recently finished up. I guess it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Don't have the date written down, but winner of the tournament obviously gets a Princess of Princess tag title match with I believe it's Yuki Aino and
yeah, why can't I think of it? Ryo Mizunami,
thank you, because it was somebody that's not on their regular roster, and then I would always think about, like, why are they doing that? But neither here nor there. The main event, I shouldn't say the main event, but I guess the final better choice of words ends up being Daisy Monkey, that being Arisa Endo and Suzume versus Miyu Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi, which was it felt like this was almost too much of, a battle of a team that is a team, but they're so young versus, the veterans that aren't really a team, but just feel like they should just be able to take down this Daisy Monkey team fairly easy. And it wasn't the case. It went 1937, so damn near 20 minutes in the final. I thought this was the second best match in the tournament itself. Gave it 4.25 stars. Suzume and Arisa Endo win the Max Hard tournament, so they are next in line. I'm assuming that'll be at Grand Princess for the Princess of Princess tag title match or tag team titles. It was just good to see the youth of TJPW being served because there's so much of it. Neither one, Tatsumi or Miyu Watanabe, need this as a stepping point to anything else. They're set. Obviously, Watanabe and Yamashita is going to be the title match at Grand Princess. So this was a perfect opportunity to let youth be served, and I thought they did it very well. I think Daisy Monkey is one of my favorite teams in TJPW with two of my favorite young stars in Suzume and Arisa Endo. I'm assuming you watched the match.
I did. Yeah, it was great. I think I went 4 1/4. Again, I didn't look back at anything, and it's been a while. But yeah, right team won, like you said. They are the true team. They beat the two, singles stalwarts, if you will, who had kind of teamed up. Yeah, just really well done. And I told you off air, I did not catch any of the tournament, but I did watch, I think, 4 or 5 matches from this show. I had to at least get my fix of TJPW, as I'm not currently watching Stardom. But yeah, really enjoy. I think I started with the Hyper Masao Shoko Nakajima versus Himawari Wakana Uehara. And just everything I watch. I feel like every time I watch a TJPW show, it's like 3.5-star floor, and just everything is just very enjoyable. It's always a fun watch, and this was no different. And yeah, this was definitely the match of the night. And yeah, just good stuff, and nice to see Daisy Monkey get their moment here.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out just Hyper Masato and Nakajima versus Watanabe and Tatsumi. I thought was the match of the tournament. I believe that was on the 121 show.
I think that was the one I almost watched and did not end up watching.
No, I thought it went 20 minutes, so it had the most time given to it, and I thought they did make good use of the said time, especially when you have Hyper Masato and Nakajima together. That always seem like they tag, but not necessarily a T that you think of as a potential tag team championship team, but they're always together and they always seemingly bring out, real good entertaining matches. Like I said, to me, that was the match of the tournament. So obviously Grand Princess coming up, I believe that is March 2nd. So we'll be talking about that on PSP 21 in some form or fashion. All Japan, correct?
Yeah, sure. I feel like we'll just kind of breeze through the rest here.
Just the 4 matches from All Japan that we wanted to talk about. 3 title matches, and then one with Kento Miyahara and Rising Hayato versus the Aogi brothers.
Yep.
I thought this was just weird just to see, Miyahara back in like a mid-card role.
I know it is weird,
but it's something that I know what he's been before. So watching TJPW, All Japan, not regularly, but
starting to a little more regularly.
Yeah, where he's been at the top, to see him coming in the middle of the show was kind of like, I wish I'd have watched this from beginning to end, but I just didn't have time to watch the entire show. But this was a nice little jumping off point. I thought this was a pretty good tag team match. I wouldn't say the right guys went over. Kento healing it up a little bit. That was a little weird, but that's still nice to see. It's good to see him have a character. It's not always white meat baby face. I can get a little mean if I need to. I can, bend a rule or two if I have to. So that was good to see. Rising Hayato is one of the guys that is one that I really want to start watching All Japan for, is because he was one of the guys that caught my eye in the All Together show. And every time I keep seeing him, I'm just like, man, that dude's good. Man, that dude's good. And he's going to end up challenging for the junior title here in a little bit, but we'll talk about that. Thoughts on the tag title or the tag match itself? Sorry.
Yeah, just fun stuff. I mean, 3.5, 3.75 in that range. I think it was just shy of 10 minutes, but yeah, just great action for, of the top guys in their respective divisions in the company. And, it's always fun to see Yuma and Kento face off against each other. And they've been tag team champs in the past, but, in the little that we've both been watching All Japan together and the little that I watched, in the previous few years, it's like that is kind of the rivalry, but they're also tag team partners. There have been in the past. So just always fun to see those two mix it up. And I always just fucking love the Aoyagi's music, too. It's just that super poppy, upbeat. I just love that fucking song. It's not quite Chris Brooks level of me turning the volume up. Well, I can't turn it up to 100 now when I live with my parents, but I used to. But I just fucking love their song, man. It just gets me in a good mood. And yeah, that's that.
I would agree with that. I was going to say that it's one of the things that I never really thought about until you just said it right there. And
me and Azar love it.
No, it is it definitely catchy to say the least. Help me with the names on this one because I know this was the TV title match. I don't want to butcher the names too bad.
Well, I don't have it pulled up, but I know the one is Rio Inoue, or however it's like Inoue Inoue, Rio Inoue, I think.
Versus Sego Tachibana, I believe.
And that guy I've never even seen before, but did he not remind you of Hiroki Goto?
Yes.
He just looked so much like Goto.
He was walking to the ring. I'm like, what the?
I know. I had to like quadruple take. I'm like, all right, he's not as big, but goddamn, he looks like him.
Yes, face. If you just gave me the face of both guys and put them side to side,
same haircut, like short on the side, slicked back. Yeah.
Yes. I was about to say we found Hiroki Goto's doppelganger. He's the TV champion at All Japan. I keep saying TJPW. It's just that one goddamn letter. Yeah. I had not seen. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Anoki guy we had seen him before, but like you said, this Tachibana, never seen him before.
I had never seen him, never even really heard of him, to be honest.
This was a pleasant surprise. I thought this was really good. I gave it first. The champ retains, Tachibana retains. Just over 15 minutes, but I was just going to say, I thought this was for two guys I didn't know much about. They got me into this match real fucking quick, you know.
Yeah.
It was not physical, but not too. It wasn't too physical, but physical. It wasn't too flippy, but flippy enough. Where you got to see both guys show their wares, and I thought it was a nice, use of the time given to it. I didn't even know that All Japan had a TV championship until today, and now I'm seeing this. I'm like, okay, shit. More of a reason for me to start really delving into All Japan if I get the chance to do so, because obviously there's some talent that I'm still now, just discovering to this day.
Yeah, I went 3-7-5, and similarly, I was more into this match than I thought I would be for, one guy I'd never even heard of. And in a way, I've seen, 2 or 3, 4 times, something like that, not too much of. But, yeah, these guys went at it, and it was very entertaining. Like you said, it kind of had a little bit of everything, kept me engaged. I was not super dialed in from the get-go, more on my phone, just kind of whatever. And, probably like 5-6 minutes in, I'm like, okay, these motherfuckers are going to work. And
they say for guys I've never seen before, that I came away impressed. Well, I should say never. One I've never seen, and the other not enough, clearly. Junior title match was next. You had Dan Tamura as the reigning champion versus Abe Fumura. Let's try this again. Fuminori?
Yeah, Fuminori. I think it's Abe.
Abe Fuminori. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so this Abe Fuminori, hadn't seen him before. He's part of Big Japan Wrestling, BJW, where my boy Yuji Okabayashi resides. But I think he kind of bounces around different promotions. But yeah, I've seen him 3 to 5 times. But yeah, motherfucker can go. No, he was like, he did that, like, I guess that spinning kick in the corner like Mike Bailey does. Yeah. I was like, oh shit. Okay, so you got moves like Jagger. That's what caught my eye. And from that point on, I was like, okay, see, I need to follow this guy wherever any chance I see him. I need to watch his matches. I thought this was the match of the night. No disrespect to the main event, but
Tamura's the man too. I hadn't seen him maybe one time before, I got this subscription at the end of last year, and he's someone that I've now seen 3 or 4 times, and each time I come out liking him a little bit more. Yeah, this was just a great back and forth. I mean, really, Fuminori was on top for a lot of it, but Tamura kept fighting. Just good physical action, some good counters. Yeah, just good shit here. I went 4, and match of the night for me too.
Yeah, for sure. Main event, a little bit of a downer where you should have had
Rei Saito. Yeah,
Rei Saito.
And I could never fucking remember which one was which. And even Googling it, it's hard to pinpoint which guy was which. But I did not realize Rei Saito got hurt because we know he pinned Nakajima in a tag match. And it's like, oh shit, that was surprising. First pin he's taken in All Japan. And then come to find out he like broke his arm on some, an off the top rope move or something. I just caught it on the pre-match promo, but I had no idea.
It didn't look like it was an All Japan show. Though. It almost looked like, it looked like it was an interpromotional show or whatever. And, it's a move that you see all the time. Guys come off the top, and for whatever reason, he got hurt on that move. And, I think it was a separated shoulder or dislocated shoulder or something like that. His arm was in the sling. Yeah. And really not able to take the match on against Nakajima. So he gives it to his brother, Jun Saito. So you had Jun Saito versus Nakajima for the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. I thought this was a good match. Not seen a lot of Jun or either Saito brother for that matter. I've not seen a lot of them singly. I've seen them as tag champs, tag team, whatever the case may be. So it was good to see Jun give, a little shine. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you kind of knew where this was going to go. It was just, how are we going to get there? Nakajima's just, God bless him. The kicks are just breaking Jun down. If it's not kicking him in the knee or the leg, when he has him on his knees, he's taking whacks to his chest and his back. It's classic Nakajima at his best. It was just really fun to watch. I gave it 3.75. Post-match, obviously, was to me the roof.
Yes. Yuma Enzai, baby. Let's go.
So Yuma Enzai comes out to be the next challenger, and I think this could be a glimpse into the future, not thinking that Yuma Enzai wins this time around. But
it's going to be good.
It's going to be good, and it would be good for Yuma to get this rub and to get this, I guess, experience in a big match feel where he'll be going against the guy that's come into All Japan and just rolled through everyone and anyone in his path. So this is another time to really get into All Japan, get into Yuma Enzai, because he obviously is the future of the promotion, and to have him against the current champion in Nakajima is very, very intriguing. Is there a match date for that yet? I didn't see that.
I haven't seen, but just real quick on the match, I also went 3.75, and it was cool seeing Nakajima against a quote unquote giant, a guy that's just a lot bigger than him.
I was thinking,
there's certainly guys bigger than him in Noah, but I feel like I just could not remember a match off the top of my head where he was fighting a guy that large. And like you said, he had to adapt. He used the kicks to take him down. And, fucking Jun put on a heck of a performance. I think from the little I've seen of the Saito brothers, Ray is definitely, I don't want to say definitely, but he comes off as a little, for lack of a better term, better. I like what I've seen a little bit more out of Ray. That's and fair. him getting what's up?
I say that's fair. It's all subjective.
Yeah, and Ray getting that pin, it's like, oh man, okay, now I want to see this match. So it was just slightly bummed, but again, that's injury. It happens. It is what it is, but you had the perfect challenger to slide in, his brother, and then if and when or assuming Nakajima's still champ, and we all think he's going to be holding on to this sucker for a while, that match will be ready-made when Ray Saito is ready to come back. So,
what was the match, the title defense before this Saito match?
It was Shotaro Ashino, who I think he either won or was runner-up in the Champion Carnival last year. So, but another guy had maybe seen once or twice before the match, and this was, I don't know, 3 weeks prior to the Jun Saito match. And I went 4.5. Again, it's been a while. I've watched a lot of shit since then, but Ashino just fucking took it to him. And it was just even more hard-hitting than I feel like most of the Nakajima defenses to this point. Can't take Kento out of it, but it was just a really damn good match, and Ashino looked really good. Certainly something if you got the means and time, which I know you don't, but it's a great match to watch. And an interesting thing I've seen, haven't watched any of them, but in the shows since the Jun Saito defense, Nakajima's been wrestling in the opener, not for the title, but like just wrestling various young guys in the opening match, which I think is fucking cool. So yeah, definitely something to keep in. I know one was Ryo Inoue, who we talked about earlier. One was Hokuto Omori, who I think was Nakajima's tag partner for the tag league. And then there was one other guy. I think there's been 3 matches he's had since then, and it was all the opener of a show, non-title. So just cool to see him just going out there and having matches with the young guys.
That's how you do it, Okada. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's close it up with a little Stardom discussion, because obviously Stardom is the one promotion that when we started 20 episodes ago was red hot, dare I say white hot at certain points. And now for whatever reason, if you're a regular listener, you know that it has fallen off of the radar, so to speak, at least on Brett's side, where he doesn't watch it nearly as much as he used to.
Still haven't watched a single match since October. I do want to watch like the Mayu Shuri match from I think 1-4 or whatever, but I just haven't, you know.
No, it's definitely one to watch for sure. If you just wanted to just, you know, cherry pick.
I will definitely watch that match at some point, and I'm sure others. But yeah, just it's like you said, it's been off my radar. But I like hearing tidbits from you, and as we said earlier, there's certainly some big news to discuss here.
Yeah, obviously, Julia's still around, but her I guess future's in doubt. Micah becoming the red belt champion, all good things. But to me, the biggest story of the bunch is, I believe it was after their 2-4 show where Micah and Louise, Saya Kamatini were wrestling for the red belt championship. I'm not sure if it was moments after or hours or whatever the case may be, but the bombshells to me came around where Rossy gets fired from Stardom. Now, depending on who you listen to or what avenue you read, the stories differ, but ultimately this boils down to, at least from my perspective, is Rossy apparently was trying to take talent and move it elsewhere. The WWE is the name of the promotion that I've heard a lot of or seen a lot of, where Rossy was apparently on the way to WWE, taking talent with them. Kairi Sane, obviously, going back to WWE was a bit of a surprise. Julia being the big name that was apparently on the way to WWE before this bombshell happened. So you could call it tampering, insider trading, whatever word you want to use in the sentence. Poaching is the word that I saw a lot of when this story first came out. So it was just, for somebody that still really likes Stardom, I do have the Club Venus shirt on that you really can't really see because the mic is kind of hiding it, neither here nor there. I know Club Venus ain't a thing, but I got it on sale, so back off.
Oh, I love it. Fuck. Yeah, always was the Club Venus guy. Shit.
Yeah, and the shirt is fucking dope. Yeah. The future of Stardom, where do you see this going? Does Rossy end up spinning off and getting his own promotion, as I've seen rumors be the thing where the talent is not necessarily happy? They're ready to go where Rossy goes. Julia, Tommy, others seemingly like they're on the fence. Miyu, one of the last shows I saw after the fact, was not necessarily very stoic with her emotions as we're used to. She was on the verge of tears in her first match after the Rossy firing. What are your thoughts on Stardom? Where are we going?
I have no idea where we're going, but I mean, if the reports are to be believed, I guess he might be starting his own promotion, and we may have an exodus similar to that when Mitsuharu Misawa left All Japan to start Noah in 2000, where I think everyone but like 2 wrestlers went with him. Kawada, which is just the ultimate badass heel move of, fuck you, Misawa, I ain't coming with you.
I'm never joining your company.
But I don't know if it's going to be that degree. I doubt it. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. And yeah, again, if you want to believe the reports, it's what's out there that Julia is headed to WWE, but is delaying that to help Rossy start his new promotion. So I don't know if that means, you know, if and when this happens, she's going to be involved in the first couple shows. Who the hell knows? I know I'm a little bit more intrigued by it all now. And again, as much as I shit on Stardom, a lot of that was me just like playing it up. But yes, it was a bummer that it did fall for me. Yes, it was booking. injuries, you can't predict that, but it just wasn't hitting the mark for me like it was in previous years. And as we've talked a lot about, both of us are busier men these days and only have so much time in a day, and we both watch a lot of fucking wrestling. And for me personally, it's just what's fallen by the wayside, but I'm definitely intrigued by all this. And I'm sure at some points I will watch some Stardom matches this year because I still love a lot of the talent there. I'm going to be very intrigued to see Julia in WWE, assuming that's what happens. Obviously, I fucking love her and will follow her wherever she goes. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's interesting. I've seen just various tweets and Instagram posts that definitely seem like the talent support and stand with Rossy. So just going to be interesting to see what happens when that shoe finally falls. But I can't imagine it's going to be a mass exodus, like All Japan to Noah. But it certainly seems like there's going to be a decent chunk that go with him. But who the hell knows? We'll see what shakes out. But yeah, it's fascinating. The landscape is certainly shook up. That's for sure.
No doubt. I was going to say it was already kind of shaken up where with the top of the card, with Micah being at the top of the card, Soriano as your white belt champion, other women coming back from injury, Natsupoi being one, Kojima being another. So it felt like, Stardom was feeling like at least that part of Stardom was getting back, together where you had a roster and a healthy roster at that. And then I saw this happen. And I'm just like, and I watched the show beforehand, and then the news that Rossy got fired came out just like 24 hours afterwards. I'm like, God damn, they can't even have a decent show, a really good, decent show. Not good, not great, just pretty fucking good. It felt like this was Stardom getting its sea legs back together again, and now you have this bombshell. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just the pessimist in me, but a part of me thinks this is going to be bigger than what we think it is, and talent that we don't think that is going to want to leave is going to leave. I think this is a huge deal. It's not the end of Stardom, I don't think, because I just think that there's just too much talent on that side of the pond where you're going to get other people to fill these spots. It's just going to be very New Japan-ish. We're going to be missing a lot of the head stars. Julia, Utami, Shiri, I think are, three names off the bat that I think are going to leave in some form or fashion.
Arguably the three top stars of the company.
Right. And then from that point, you'll start to, I think that's where the rest of the dominoes will fall. But, we'll see what happens. But if I had to take a guess, I think it's going to be a much bigger exodus than you might think it'd be. If you say it's 2 or 3, I'm gonna say it's like 5 to 8.
Oh, I'm thinking that as well. I think maybe even more than 5 to 8.
I think that to me is the 4.
I think it's going to be significant. Yeah.
Not like you said, not everybody in the mama, but everybody is just going to leave Stardom, and that's where I think they're going to have to start. Whoever this young talent is, the Yuzukis of the world and all these other.
They've got plenty of it. That's the thing. It's like
a shit ton of it. But now you're going to have to. You need to start figuring out what the plan is for them. Obviously, Rossy was the booker of Stardom as well. So part of me is kind of scared to even, watch what's happened since he's gone away from being the booker.
It's not like his booking was that great down the stretch anyway, though.
It was hit or miss, especially, the Julia.
But it seemed to be getting a little better, after I kind of fell off. But
no, I think that for me, I think he was just trying to do one too many things. It was almost Tony Khan-ish where, I have these 5 ideas in mind, and now, we're going to do these 5 things really quick, and none of these ideas make sense, but we're going to do them anyway. That's just me.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff.
I'm sorry?
I just said fascinating stuff.
No, that's always going to be fascinating. So what we got coming up? New Japan Cup coming up, Grand Princess coming up. I think is Dr. Hijo. Does he have it? I'm sure he has a title defense.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything, but there's got to be something lined up sooner than later. Obviously, we'll have Nakajima, Yuma, and Zai at some point in the near future. So,
all good things, all interesting things coming up here. I can't think of anything else that we might have missed.
I don't think so. I think we pretty well covered it. Weird stuff going on all around here in the landscape in Japan.
But that's okay. It keeps us interested, and it keeps us with a podcast to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Just over 2 hours, as the running time is 2:04 and some change. It's a good time to wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming out and listening, watching the Phoenix Splash podcast. For my man on the right, Brett Jager, I'm your humble host, Jason Cornelius Bill. We'll see you for PSP 21. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but probably in the next 2 weeks, but we'll figure it out. It will just drop in on you like we normally do. But on that lovely note, we shall bid you all adieu until PSP 21. Peace be with you. We'll see you on the flip.
See you.